Washington Times reports that intelligence gathered during the Libyan civil war back in 2011 did not back up the story of why America got involved, a story that was pushed by then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to prevent possible genocide. Now, many of her reasons were reportedly based on more speculation than on actual intelligence on the ground. Gaddafi's son touched on this in a secretly recorded phone conversation with Democratic Congressman Dennis Kucinich.
The people here are fighting are terrorists and gangsters. And we have the names, their photos, that everything, and they're well known. And all of them, they are less than 1,000 now in the whole country. So, I mean, can you imagine like a country like the United States forgetting 6 million Libyans and supporting 1,000 gangsters and terrorists?
So the man on the other end of that phone is Dennis Kucinich with me now, former Democratic congressman out of Ohio and a Fox News contributor today. And, sir, good morning and welcome back here. Let's lay a little bit of groundwork for us here. You were involved at what level at that point trying to prevent the United States and President Obama from joining the NATO operation in Libya? Is that correct?
Well, I led the effort in Congress in trying to avert a war, and had organized with members of Congress. And as a result of my leadership, I was contacted by people around the world, but particularly from the region, who said, look, people connected to the government want to speak with you. Before I spoke to them, I checked with the General Counsel of the House to make sure it was okay. He said, well, that's a congressman's job to gather information, ask questions. That's what I did. So that's how the conversation came about. And then that conversation more or less reinforced what I'd been hearing from other sources, that the intelligence that was available did really not support an intervention.
Let's follow up on that in a moment here. Ultimately, you were unsuccessful. You failed in your effort to prevent U.S. involvement. And now the Washington Times reports that the Pentagon was operating outside of the State Department to gather its own intelligence because, according to the Times, it did not trust Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Now, if that is true, what does it do for American foreign policy to speak with two different voices on such a critical international issue?
Well, ultimately, the decision is made by the Commander-in-Chief, who's head of the military at the Pentagon. I think there are probably differences of opinion inside the Pentagon. I'm sure there were differences of opinion inside the intelligence community. What I was concerned about is that the American people were not being given the truth about a cause for war against Libya. Because in the end, while we want to defend our country, the truth is the best defense. And we weren't getting the truth, and that's really what this newspaper story is revealing.
Well, this is also what came up on the screen for our viewers. Quote, you should see these internal State Department reports that are produced in the State Department that go out to Congress. They're just full of stupid, stupid facts. The truth is, what's done is done. Now, why does this matter now?
Well, because what's happened as a result of the intervention, Libya is now a failed state. Jihadists have taken over. There are warring camps across the country. Libya has a great supply of oil. The arms cache that Libya had was basically opened up and sent throughout Central Africa. So it became an incubator of terrorism as a result of this very dangerous and wrong-headed intervention. So, you know, we have and what's so sad about this is that we had already won. Gaddafi was ready to leave as a result of the U.S. essentially saying, look, if you don't straighten this situation out, we're going to come in.
And does that
so
fall,
we won.
does that fall to Hillary Clinton, or does that fall to President Obama, or both?
You know, the president has his responsibility, the secretary had her responsibility. This is really, you know, what the newspaper story is talking about is the secretary took a leadership role in pushing for a war, and it wasn't supported by the facts in the intel community, and it wasn't supported with any degree of unanimity within the Pentagon.
Now, two more points here. Weapons proliferation, extensive in Libya after the war. Islamic radicalism. We have read stories time and again over the past 10 days alone about how ISIS now has a beachhead, and they're bragging about it in Libya. That's a big deal, because at some point we're going to have to deal with that.
Bill, it's a very big deal, which is why when you intervene, you have to have an idea what the end game is. As soon as Benghazi fell, the Al-Qaeda's flag went up over a municipal building there. This was not well thought out. It wasn't well planned. It should not have happened. We should not have gone into Libya. Gaddafi had reached accommodation with the Bush administration. He was ready to exit from his position. What was this war all about? And so I think those are questions that Congress and the American people will continue to ask. Certainly, I can tell you, as someone who led the effort to try to stop the war, once again, I'm very concerned that America's treasure was spent, our troops were put at risk, and a lot of innocent people in Libya died as a result of this.
We may find out some of these answers. Hillary Clinton said a couple of days ago that she's agreed to come back and talk about Benghazi before that House committee. If that is the case, perhaps this comes up again then. Sir, thank you for your time. Dennis Kucinich from Washington.